U.S. State Department declares China's crimes against Uyghurs as genocide. So, guys, you might be a little bit confused as I go about this news. This is
Wow.
from the previous administration. Okay, so this happened just like within 3 or 5 days of the final days of the Trump administration. So when I'm talking about this, this will be a declaration from the Trump administration. So might be a little bit confused, but just okay, keep this in mind. Okay, okay, let's get into it. So on January 19th, 2021. The U.S. State Department declared the Chinese government is committing genocide among the other crimes against humanity. In his statement, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the Chinese authorities in Xinjiang had committed crimes against humanity, including arbitrary imprisonment, forced sterilization, torture, forced labor, and, quote, draconian restrictions on freedom of religion, expression, and movement. Following Biden's August 2020 campaign statement with the same declaration, the Trump administration's finding is the strongest rebuke of China's actions by any government so far. Declaring genocide of Xinjiang's religious and ethnic minorities was the Trump administration's final action regarding what most consider the worst abuses of human rights in decades. Biden's nominee for Secretary of State, Anthony J. Blinken, said that he agrees with the genocide determination and condemned the Xinjiang quote-unquote concentration camps. He also submitted that China, quote, poses the most significant challenge of any nation state to the United States, end quote.
This is great from both for okay.
Yes.
As much as I am against Trump, okay, we have to acknowledge when something good is happening, okay?
Yeah.
This is amazing. And so again, this is United States finally leading the way in something human rights related. Compared, like United States is ahead of every other country on this, which is amazing. We should congratulate United States for this. We should congratulate the Trump administration for this. Even though here we're anti-Trump, we will still congratulate them for this. And we have to even congratulate the Biden administration for not undoing the, like, from all the things that are undoing, they're like, they got to this one, like, nope, we're gonna keep this one. This is good. So thank you, Trump administration. Thank you, Biden administration. Thank you, the United States government. Even again, I know some of you are going to be like, well, the motivations, this is more of an anti-China. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, yes, it might be for political reasons, but it might be more of an anti-China thing than a pro-human rights things. We don't get many pro-human rights moves like this, so we will take what we can get, and we have to signal to all politicians from all sides that when they do stuff like this, we will celebrate it. So because if you don't celebrate it, then you're signaling to them that these kind of moves do not matter, so and that they're not going to get any political capital from doing stuff like this, so they will stop doing it. I don't care what side you are. I don't care if you're left or you're right, you're pro-Trump or you're anti-Trump like us. Stuff like this has to be recognized and congratulated, and you need to demand more of it. But go on, Susanna.
So there's a comment from Yuval. Hi, Yuval. Saying it's pronounced, okay, this isn't helping me much, Uighurs.
It does. It's pronounced 100 different ways. Okay. I've been people
anyway.
Say it's, yeah.
But the comment that I wanted to read was 2. This is a very meaningful declaration because it means the world must intervene. And Koshik is saying something. Meanwhile, they sell bombs and drones to Saudi, which is the greatest genocide right now in Yemen. Actually, well, technically, it was the Trump administration that increased that problem a lot. The Biden administration is now re-examining their arms deals with the Saudis. I think, Armin, do you think we should do an entire stream about this?
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, they put a freeze.
This is changing.
Yeah, we're still skeptical, but we're optimistic because it's not a complete stop. It's a freeze and reevaluation, but we are it's a good cause for optimism. Also, Kushik, what you're doing is called whataboutism. Okay, yes. This is how you get a zero. The mentality that you have, Kushik, is how you get zero progress, because you're signaling to politicians that even if they do something good, because of the other things that they're doing, that is, I agree with you. What you're saying, selling bombs to Saudi Arabia, Arabia, that's a human rights violation, and they should be called out for that. But that doesn't mean that when they do something that is correct, we shouldn't be celebrating it, because the way you think, it signals to politicians that unless you do everything the way you want, then you're not going to get any bonus points from people like you, and therefore they will not even try, right? There needs to be more of us who will condemn the bombing, the selling of weapons to Saudi Arabia, while at the same time not use it as an excuse not to celebrate when they do something like this, right? The one does not negate the other one. Okay, be practical.
And
Yes.
there was Swamp Nil is saying Swamp. Sorry, say Swamp Nil is saying, I agree with you. This is more to do with anti-China. I'm sure Trump doesn't give an F.
It doesn't matter. You celebrate this.
I'll take it.
It
also,
doesn't matter.
Eric on Facebook is saying, "Love you guys. Greetings from Panama." Oh, that's so cool. Hi. Rivka, what is your thoughts?
I was going to make a point about what Armin was talking about regardless of the motivation, it's a good thing, because what's the main goal here, right? To make sure that China is called out for its genocide and human rights against Uighurs or however you're supposed to say it. Okay, that's what's important. So that's what's done here. Regardless of the motivation, what the end result is a good thing. The United States government has made a declaration that what China is doing is a human rights violation and it's genocide. And so what that does is that gives other countries or other politicians or other entities some motivation to do it as well. The United States is doing it. Now that gives the open door for people to say, yes, you know what? It is genocide. And this is going to keep hopefully snowballing. But if we are constantly just saying, yeah, but you don't really care, that's such negative reinforcement. It's not talking about the main thing. What's most important is now Uyghurs in China know that the United States recognizes what is being done to them as a human rights violation and is saying it publicly to the world.
Yuval had a good comment. He said, compare this to the declaration in 1994, where the administration refused to use the word genocide because that would mean they should act on it. That's a very good point. This it implies a mandate to act upon this. Oh, wait, he left right when I needed to show something on the screen. Okay, let me pull up my screen. So let me zoom in. I also wanted to read a statement from Melissa Chen on Facebook that I really liked.
Melissa's so smart and articulate.
She's amazing.
Shout out to Melissa Chen.
So for those who don't know, Melissa Chen is the managing director of Ideas Beyond Borders, and she also writes for The Spectator. So she shared this on Facebook. She said, breaking news, the U.S. has just declared that the Chinese government is committing genocide and crimes against humanity through its wide-scale repression of Uyghurs and other mostly Muslim ethnic minorities in its northwestern region of Xinjiang, including in its use of internment camps and forced sterilization. The finding is the harshest denunciation yet by any government against China's policies in Xinjiang. Genocide is, according to international convention, quote, intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group, end quote. The move is expected to be the Trump administration's final action on China, made in its last full day, and is the accumulation of a years-long debate over how to punish what many consider Beijing's worst human rights abuses in decades. So I thought that was very well put from Melissa, and
yay, Melissa!
I really enjoy her commentary on China in general. And once again, women take over as soon
That
as
was what I was going to say. It's not anything to do with the content, but the second Armin left, there was a barrage of women takeover comments, a plethora.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really I'm very interested to see how the Biden administration is going to continue, or if they will continue this line. And I'm hopeful that they are as hard, if not harder, on China than the Trump administration, because
It
I
would be
will.
so good.
I have to admit, I appreciate the Trump administration for just knocking sanction upon China. I want more sanctions. Okay, bring it on.
Yeah,
I hope.
As much as I don't like Donald Trump, and I was saying this even in 2015 when he was running, some of the stuff he was saying about China, he was right. China is a threat, and this human rights violation is absolutely horrific. And this is important to highlight too. Now, don't forget, just the 27th, 28th was Holocaust Remembrance Day. So when we say never again, we have to mean never again. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that Trump administration or no Trump, whatever. Good job, Mike Pompeo. Yes. Good job.
Yeah, only understood. I just have to. I also have to mention that it is likely that Biden will be closer, like not as anti-Chinese, and maybe do some things that we will criticize here. But again, not Chinese. Sorry, Chinese government. We're pro-Chinese. We're anti-Chinese, anti-CCP. Yes. But. I mean, even in the unlikely scenario where Biden actually gets very aggressively anti-CCP, that would be so beautiful, because all of these people that like accuse Biden of being closer, like a Bijan puppet or whatever, it would be so good if they're all disappointed.
Beijing Joe.
Beijing Joe or something. It would be so.
Katie wins the comment of this section, which is, "Ooh, these sanctions on China making me wet."
Okay, let me be clear about this. We don't sanction. I don't like sanctions, but they're the best thing we have. Okay, people do suffer because of sanctions, like innocent people. Innocent people do. Like, sanctions is cost benefit analysis, right? You end up like, we can't be too. Like, we shouldn't be like so happy because of sanctions, because what we're doing is we're doing a calculation where the total number of people who've been suffering, one of them is less than the other one. This is the classic trolley problem, right? Yeah. But when we say never forget, and we can't let human rights violations go ignored, well, what are you going to do? There's only three options. It's either sanctions, war, or doing nothing. Between sanctions, war, and doing nothing, sanction is the best option, even though the consequences are sometimes innocent people suffering. So go on, Susanna.
Well, I would just have to say, I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding of the sanctions on China is that they have been extremely targeted. So they are towards very specific officials and well-off business people who are implicated in being involved with this. It is also against specific companies, and it is only recently that they have put sanctions on specific industries, specifically the cotton industry in China, which is highly implicated in forced Uyghur labor, and the tomato industry, funnily enough. So I think it is important that when we talk about sanctions, we talk about them being strategic and specific. And my understanding is that that is the case thus far.
Right. So sanctions, it's been just United States has been good at coming up with better sanction methods that have less collateral damage. Like, they're becoming more and more advanced and more targeted, which is really good. However, there will always be some collateral damage. Rivka, what do you want to say?
So I actually wanted to make a comment that Katie said, is that often people have to suffer because of the government, but honestly, when you're talking of this cost benefit analysis of how to change a government or how to change a policy, some of that, unfortunately, suffering of the people within the country that you have the sanction on is to pressure their government to stop doing whatever they are doing, which has caused these sanctions. So there is some level of an understanding about, to a degree, you know, I mean, sometimes people don't see it that way. They just end up hating the people who put the sanctions on, but that is on some level somewhat implicit in understanding sanctions. But the targeting is excellent, you know, way to focus in on a specific business or industry rather than just blanket across the whole country.
And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of Why There's No... Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free... It's not even promotion, it's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.